October 23rd, 2015. HPA, or National Hearing Protection Act of 2015. Drafted October 7th. Prorated and presented to the public October 22nd. Bill doesn't seem to have been introduced to the House, as the draft does not have a House bill number, and I was unable to find anything. Sponsors of the bill: American Suppressor Association, or the ASA, and Representative Matt Salmon out of Arizona. Why would you create this bill? This bill is to remove the unfair classification and regulation of a hearing safety device. This device is to protect our hearing while shooting firearms for sport, hunting, and or self-defense. How does this bill remove suppressors from the NFA? A lot of the reports or videos that I have watched on this say that the bill flat out just removes suppressors from the NFA, which is not entirely true. What this bill does is it changes the language in the NFA as it stands to get around the tax and regulation of the NFA. And how it does that is by changing the language of a few different sections in the NFA. Section 5845 is where the removal of the tax and regulation by the Attorney General, so there will be no tax stamp and regulation on transportation via safety clauses. Another section, 927, affects the state law. It adds the language at the end of the paragraph to state, in layman's, no state can make a law that limits or alters the making or manufacturing, using, possession, or transportation of a firearm silencer. I want to add a little bit of commentary to this video. I have a few questions about the bill myself. I have a question of integral suppression. How would that work? Would it be considered the same? Because it's not specifically called out in the bill. And what does a person do when a state refuses to comply with the bill if it were to be signed into law? I would expect California and New York to flat out refuse to comply with this. So what is a person to do if they get caught in the crossfires between federal and state law? Also wanted to talk about the term silencer or suppressor in general, which seems to come up a lot even before this bill was introduced. It's really just a word that was coined by Hollywood, the term silencer. It sounds cool, it sounds aggressive, but it's really not. Most people in the industry call it a suppressor because that's what it is. It suppresses sound. Please don't punish the device because of a nickname that was given to it by an industry that has nothing to do with firearms, and that would be Hollywood. I get asked this question a lot. Why own a suppressor in the first place? You must want to kill someone and get away with it. Or are you a mob hitman or something? There are many uses for suppressors, and I'm going to give you a few scenarios that don't align with Hollywood's depiction of suppressors. Range safety. Being able to hear the range master's instructions while shooting in a group is very important. If you are unable to hear the range master and you're in a training class or something like that, you could definitely cause some problems. So being able to hear the instructor is definitely a plus. It reduces muzzle rise while shooting also, so it improves your accuracy. Ear pro problems. A lot of people just say, why don't you just wear hearing protection then if it's a big deal? Well, hearing protection that exists on today's market is by design very ancient technology. It's very old school. A lot of the over-the-ear devices are bulky and unnatural. It causes awkwardness while firing rifles or AR/AK pistol platforms. When you shoot your rifle and it rubs against the stock, it will lift the cup slightly, exposing one of your ears to substantial hearing loss. And that's a big problem for a lot of shooters. And also when you're talking with people at the range and you're firing shots and you stop and someone says something and you can't hear them, what you naturally do is you raise the cup or you pull the earplug out of your ear and say, what? And while you're doing that, someone else at the range is probably going to be firing their weapon, which that happens to me a lot. And you get hearing damage in one of your ears, which is even worse than hearing damage in both, because you can have different hearing levels between your ears, which is very annoying. And as far as the mob hitman question and wanting to kill someone, that is just Hollywood nonsense and not a realistic reason to own a suppressor as Hollywood would tell you. It makes it silent so that you can shoot somebody in their home and sneak away, which is just completely not true. The best cans out there, or suppressors out there, have about an average sound reduction of about 30 decibels. Not a huge sound reduction, but enough sound reduction to make a lot of rifles and weapon systems in general with a suppressor hearing safe or close to hearing safe. So the weapon is not silent at all. If I were to take my 300 blackout pistol and go outside in the street and fire it with the suppressor on it, it would be very loud, and people would look and more than likely call the police saying they think they heard gunshots. It is definitely a change in the noise profile, makes it sound a little bit different. It makes it a lot, less piercing to the shooter's ear, but it's still a very loud sound, especially in a quiet neighborhood. I am very excited about this bill. A lot of people state in the comments on a lot of the blogs that have posted about it so far, state, oh, this is never going to happen. Obama's never going to sign this into law. And that might be true. Obama will probably not sign a suppressor bill because he is anti-gun and pro-gun control, and he does not care about shooters' safety at all. He has no interest in any of us doing anything besides suffering and slowly going under control of the federal government. So with that said, what is the political climate like, and what are the chances that a bill like this could go through? I would say the chances are not extremely high, but it's definitely possible, because to override a veto, you just need a 2/3 vote from the voting body of the House and Senate, which isn't as difficult as people would say. A lot of it, you would have to get a lot of the Democrats to not vote and get all of the Republicans to vote, and hopefully and maybe convince some Democrats that, hey, this is a good thing. This is nothing to do with firearms other than safety of those firearms. This has to do with hearing protection. This is a good thing. So if you can convince some Democrats of this, you could get a veto vote. You definitely could. So, you get it through the House, you get it through the Senate, you get it to the president's desk, he vetoes the bill, goes back, you could override this. And, a lot of people say, it's impossible to override a president. Well, the last two presidents, they were overridden. I believe Clinton had an override twice, and George Bush had 4 overrides, if I'm not mistaken. So it is doable. Don't give up on this bill just because you think it's difficult. Anything that's worthwhile is going to be difficult to get through. But when we do get through this, it's going to be amazing. And I would definitely like to thank the American Suppressor Association and all of these, new commercial suppressor manufacturers like Silencer Co. and Gemtech and, all those other guys out there that make these suppressors and talk about suppressors and get the knowledge out there and, let it be known that this is a device by the firearms industry for firearms and shooters, and not the devil's toy as Hollywood would tell Americans. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I'd like to thank my new subscribers that have been flooding in from Are You Ready For It News. She's an awesome YouTuber, and she definitely has been helping me with improving the quality of my videos, and I hope to deliver higher quality content and more content as time goes. And thank you. Thank you for the additional support. And thank you to my new subscribers for checking me out and giving me a chance. I'll see you later.